What if the biggest problem in Jenny and Sumit's marriage isn't the age gap, living with his parents, or even the constant arguments, but the fact that they've quietly stopped trusting each other? Because after watching everything that happened, I honestly think that's the real issue. And the scary part is that trust is a lot harder to rebuild than most people realize. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, let's be honest for a second. When people talk about Jenny and Sumit's relationship, the first thing that usually mention is the age gap. It's been the headline of their story for years. But after everything we've seen recently, I'm starting to think the age gap isn't even their biggest problem anymore. Because what happened during therapy revealed something much deeper. And honestly, it's not looking great. The session started with a simple question. What are the biggest issues in your marriage right now? At first, it sounded like the usual answer. Living with Sumit's parents, family pressure, lack of privacy.
But then, Jenny dropped a bombshell. She claimed that Sumit invested $50,000 without properly discussing it with her first. $50,000! Wait a second. Didn't these two spend years talking about financial struggles? Didn't we watch them deal with money problems over and over again? So naturally, the first question that popped into my head was, where did that money suddenly come from? And more importantly, why would you invest that kind of money based on a tip from a friend? I'm sorry, but if someone tells me they invested $50,000 because my friend had a good feeling, my stress levels are going up immediately. That sounds less like a financial plan and more like the beginning of a disaster documentary. Now, to be fair, Sumit insists the money isn't gone. According to him, it's invested. But that's not really the point. The real issue is communication, because whether you're married for 1 year or 20 years, making a major financial decision without your partner's full involvement is usually asking for trouble. And this is where things become really interesting. When the therapist asked why he didn't communicate better, Sumit's answer revealed a completely different problem.
He claimed Jenny gets extremely angry. In fact, he even described a situation where she allegedly became so upset in public that she looked like she wanted to hit him. That's a serious accusation. And before we go any further, physical aggression in a relationship is never okay. Doesn't matter who's doing it. But here's the twist. Jenny immediately denied it. According to her, it was a joke, and she never intended to actually hit him. So now we're stuck with two completely different versions of the same story. And honestly, that tells us a lot about their marriage. Because when couples can't even agree on what happened during a major argument, trust starts breaking down very quickly. But here's something else that caught my attention. Whether Jenny actually attempted to hit him or not, Sumit genuinely seems afraid of her reactions. And if that's true, it could explain why he hides things from her. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, hiding things isn't okay either. But relationships become incredibly complicated when one partner feels afraid to tell the truth and the other partner feels constantly betrayed.
That's a dangerous cycle, and I think that's exactly where these two are right now. But believe it or not, things get even more complicated, because there's another factor that nobody can ignore: Jenny's health. At the time this was filmed, Jenny was reportedly dealing with symptoms that had not yet fully explained what was happening to her. And that's important because serious health struggles can impact emotions, stress levels, frustration, and communication. So while some viewers immediately blame Jenny's temper, I think the situation might be more complicated than that. Personally, I think frustration is playing a massive role here. Think about her situation for a moment. She's living with her husband's parents, she's following rules that aren't her own, she doesn't feel fully comfortable in the home, and according to her own comments, she's spending a lot of time isolated in her room. Honestly, that sounds exhausting. Forget relationship problems for a second. Most people would struggle mentally in that situation.
And if you're already stressed, every small disagreement starts feeling bigger than it really is. But just when you think things can't get more awkward, the banquet scene arrives. And wow, this is where Sumit somehow manages to score an own goal. Jenny puts effort into her appearance. She gets dressed up. She tries something different. And initially, Sumit compliments her. Everything seems fine. For about 5 minutes. Then the therapist asks what he thinks about her look. And somehow, instead of simply saying, "You look beautiful," he decides to add that he was expecting a little more. A little more. Seriously, Sumit, my guy was handed the easiest answer in television history and still found a way to make it complicated. Even the therapist looked surprised. And honestly, I don't blame her, because sometimes relationships aren't about brutal honesty. Sometimes they're about kindness. That's something this couple seems to be forgetting. The dinner continued to reveal small signs of tension. Comments, jokes,
Little moments that might seem harmless individually but become significant when you put them together. That's why I don't think this marriage is struggling because of one huge issue. It's struggling because of 100 small issues stacking on top of each other. The money situation, the trust issues, the communication problems, the drinking concerns, the living arrangement, the health challenges, the age gap. Every single one adds pressure, and eventually, pressure starts cracking even the strongest relationships. Now here's the question that keeps coming back to me. Can they actually fix this? Because surprisingly, despite everything we've discussed, both of them still seem committed to trying. Neither one appears ready to walk away, and that's important. In many reality TV relationships, one person checks out emotionally long before the breakup happens. I don't think that's happened here yet. What I see instead are two people who clearly love each other but have completely different ideas about how to handle problems.
And unless that changes, these arguments are going to keep repeating themselves, maybe with different topics, maybe in different situations, but the same pattern. That's why my biggest takeaway isn't that Jenny's the problem or that Sumit is the problem. I think the real problem is that they're fighting symptoms instead of the cause. The cause is trust. The cause is communication. The cause is feeling unheard. And until they fix those things, no amount of therapy, apologies, or temporary solutions will fully solve what's happening. Because right now, this marriage feels less like a partnership and more like two people trying to survive the same storm from opposite sides of the boat. The good news? They still seem willing to fight for the relationship. The bad news? Wanting to save a marriage and actually knowing how to save it are two very different things. And after everything we've seen, I think their biggest challenge may still be ahead of them. So what do you think? Is Jenny's frustration understandable given everything she's dealing with? Did Sumit make a huge mistake with the investment? And do you think this marriage can actually survive all these problems? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and analysis, don't forget to subscribe because we've got plenty more 90 Day Fiancé content coming soon. I will catch you in the next one.